as we head on over to the stage for this top 4 matchup with that Grim Snarl team.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and take a look at these trainers' accomplishments as they give a quick wave to the camera. Always love to see it. Jack only really getting accomplishments overseas as he primarily competes in the European region, top 8 in Dortmund in the 2025 season. Cary got top 4 in Portland last year, top 8 in Louisville as well, and both of them with their own unique takes on teams in Regulation F. Cary, more of a common team, Jack more of a what he wanted to bring to the tournament team, and we've seen these teams work out very well for the both of them.
Absolutely. Jack had a really fascinating top 8 matchup where Grim Snarl went from supporter to attacker, claiming 3 of the 4 knockouts in the decisive game 3. So let's take a deeper dive into Jack's team of 6 with Entei, Roaring Moon, Golden Go, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Okidogi, and Grim Snarl.
So I'm really glad you started talking about that Grim Snarl, because the one thing that trips people up about this team is the fact that Reflect and Light Screen really messes up the damage calcs, the amount of damage you expect your Pokemon to do throughout the matchup. But looking at Cary's team, he has a lot of Pokemon that can check the Grim Snarl at the end of the day. The Golden Go with the Choice Specs, the Landorus Incarnate with the Life Orb. It's going to take multiple hits to take that Pokemon down, but those Pokemon are so powerful that you can take those 2 hits and be all right. So at the end of the day, what Jack has to think about is how can you maneuver around those powerful hitters. And looking at the Ogerpon in particular, it has a really nice matchup into a lot of Cary's Pokemon, and I think that has to be the center of Jack's strategy for this top 4 match.
Cary certainly has to be prepared for the Swords Dance Ogerpon Wellspring that put in so much work in the previous set. Taking a look at Cary's team of 6, Golden Go, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Roaring Moon, Incineroar, Amoonguss, and Landers. As you mentioned, a little more conventional than Jack's team.
I think saying a little is doing it not enough of justice, honestly, but Cary does have a few tricks up his own sleeve, one of those being the Roaring Moon with the Poison Terra typing and Breaking Swipe that we saw do him well earlier on in the tournament, and it is going to be the speed boost for that booster energy that will give him a huge leg up in this matchup, as Jack's own Roaring Moon is going to get a boost in its attack. Cary will be able to make the speed in his favor very easily in this matchup, meaning the Golden Go, the Landorus will be able to attack whenever they want to, and Jack's gonna have to withstand those hits.
And you bring up the trick up his sleeve. He does actually have the move trick
that
on
too.
Golden Go, right? Which, of course, Grim Snarl is not going to be choice locked into clicking Light Screen or Reflect or something like that. So it's something Jack has to be prepared for. Game 1 of top 4 of the Toronto Regional Championships. One of these 2 trainers will be in the finals. Cary D'Ortona, Roaring Moon, and Landorus Incarnate versus Jack Clarke, Grim Snarl's Golden Go.
To Golden Go's credit, it can terrestrialize into a dragon type, and Breaking Swipe is not the most powerful move in the metagame in terms of dragon type attacks. It's certainly no Regidrago, so it's possible it can take a hit or 2 from that, and it will then be able to resist Landorus's attacks a little bit better, but already Jack is off on the back foot here. Grim Snarl can opt to set up Light Screen here to make it able to take those hits from the Landorus a little bit better, but still, he's in a responsive position, whereas Cary is able to set the pace immediately, like I was saying. Grim Snarl immediately threatened by Sludge Wave. Roaring Moon immediately able to get the speed in his favor. So Cary already going to go right on the offense.
Golden Go swapping out here on turn 1 for Jack. Going to bring the Roaring Moon to match. Now remember, as Gabby said, these 2 Roaring Moons have different boosts on their booster energy. Cary having the speed boost and Jack having the attack boost. Going to be doing more damage if it's given that chance. First terrestrialization of this top 4 matchup, and is Cary opting out of that Dragon Dark type to become Terra Poison in this matchup. Now resisting the Spirit Break but before he was 4 times weak to Fairy. Now you resist Fairy attacks here. Reflect getting set up for the Grimmsnarl there, and then hit on the switch in is going to be resisted. So really nice defensive switch. Roaring Moon sticking on the field at around half HP, but now Grimmsnarl was able to freely click the other screen if you would like.
But also can just paralyze the Roaring Moon as it's no longer a Dark-type Pokemon. So that is a big risk for Cary. It could be an opportunity for Jack to remove the Tailwind pressure from the field. It's a big risk for Cary. You remove the opportunity for Spirit Break to deal a lot of damage to that Pokemon at the potential cost of your speed control.
Now the Landers on the other end still fully healthy, and we've seen so much damage from Landers Incarnate this week, and we'll see how it works out. Jack clicking the other screen, so now for the next 8 turns, going to be taking half damage from Cary's Pokemon. Tailwind on his end, doubling Cary's Pokemon's speeds in the next 4 turns. Roaring Moon does hang on, and Grimmsnarl doesn't take any damage. You don't need screens if you're just going to dodge the Sandstorm anyway.
Exactly, and now Grimmsnarl has its 2 screens up. It can start going on the, I'm going to say on the offense with the Thunder Wave or possibly the Spirit Break, but realistically speaking here, it still is going to be in a bit of a defensive position. The Roaring Moon is the primary attacker for Jack here. If he wants to go on the offense with it, knowing that Tailwind is set up on the field, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jack go for a Protect this turn, as it is available to him. You can just get through that first Tailwind turn. Let Grimmsnarl maybe try to get a KO onto the opposing Landorus with Spirit Break. We saw how much damage it did in previous games. It's possible it could just get a knockout here.
Yeah, definitely with that last game when it was getting really big hits into his opponent, but now we'll see if Jack can make it through these Tailwind turns for Cary. Protecting Roaring Moon, doesn't want to take a super effective breaking and swipe and also lowering his attack, so he can keep itself healthy. Grimmsnarl obviously immune to the Dragon attack, but the Earth Power into Grimmsnarl, you wonder how, if it would have knocked out if the Sandstorm connected on the last turn. But another one added to the list. That's now 4 KOs we've seen on stream for Jack's Grimmsnarl.
Cary could have also been anticipating a return of the Golden Go there. You know, maybe you switch out the Grimmsnarl, try and save it for later on in the matchup when it could reset the screens if the game goes that long. But overall, we've seen how Jack likes to keep his Pokemon on the field and just let them get KO'd so that he can bring his other Pokemon in safely. I think keeping the Grimmsnarl in there was a great choice for him. Now, I think you still are in that same position, knowing what Pokemon you have in the back. You do still have a couple of turns of Tailwind to get through. If you let your Pokemon get knocked out, that's just one less turn of Tailwind that they have to deal with moving forwards.
Right, 2 turns of Tailwind remaining on Cary's end. Roaring Moon, any type of attack will knock it out. Grimmsnarl is also very low and threatened from potential Make It Rain on the other end from Cary's Golden Go. Jack going for the double protect, only 30% chance, and does not get it. But Grimmsnarl with a Thunder Wave into the now Poison type on Roaring Moon means it's no longer immune to that and has the chance to get paralyzed every single turn. It does break through, but the knockoff being resisted means it does really hardly any damage to that Dark type Grimmsnarl. But it doesn't matter as long as Golden Go can get a double KO.
Exactly, and once again, Cary covering for a possible switch in that Grimmsnarl spot. If you catch the Pokemon on the switch, you get rid of its item, and then already that's something that Jack has less of to, help him win through this end game. And it's a very tough end game for Jack, knowing that both the Roaring Moon and the Golden Go are at full health in this position. He does have 2 Pokemon that are able to protect themselves this turn, so there is that. Knowing that the Roaring Moon is paralyzed is certainly going to help, but I think the big question on my mind is how is this Ogerpon going to find an opportunity to go for a Swords Dance, because you really want that offensive pressure in this position to start gaining your momentum back. And
there is the worry that if you do double protect this turn with both of your Pokemon, Roaring Moon still is around the next turn to, if it breaks through paralysis, reset up the Tailwind.
Exactly, and that Golden Go as well, if you do go for the double protect, it could switch out so it can come back later without its special attack dropped and go for a different powerful attack thanks to those choice specs.
So we'll see what Jack can do down 2 Pokemon to 3 here in game 1. Cary will reveal that 4th Pokemon in the back by swapping Golden Go out, wanting to reset the special attack drop as well here. And Amoonguss, a very bulky Pokemon, does not mind switching onto the field in this spot. Jack going to protect the Golden Go, and now Breaking Swipe from Roaring Moon is only going to hit into the Ogerpon Wellspring here. Not doing too much damage, but does crucially get an attack drop. Right now, Ogerpon Wellspring is immune to any redirection from Amoonguss or Spore, since it is a grass type, and it's going to be a +1 on the Wellspring because of that attack drop from Breaking Swipe.
Exactly. So the big question here is, can Ivy Cudgel plus an attack from this Golden Go pick up the KO on Roaring Moon before it can potentially reset Tailwind, as Ogerpon should naturally be faster than the opposing Golden Go while Tailwind is not in play. The Amoonguss is a nice Pokemon to have for Cary for that redirection factor. It's really forcing Jack's Golden Go to opt for either the Nasty Plot or the Make It Rain here, depending on how confident he is in damage. But with this very passive play from Jack, I'm wondering if this is just, wow, okay.
Never punished. Roaring Moon can't click Tailwind if it gets paralyzed, and you get to Nasty Plot for free as well. Double, or adding onto your special attack there by 2 stages. Now you have a boosted Ogerpon, you have a boosted Golden Go as well.
And Cary trying to call the Terastallization on the Ogerpon by going for the Spore in that slot. So Cary just not getting anything he wanted that turn. But we're still in a tough spot because the Roaring Moon can still go for a Tailwind or a Breaking Swipe to bring the Ogerpon back down to neutral attack.
That is true. You do also have to wonder, since Ogerpon only has water and grass attacks, how many Swords Dance boosts are you actually going to need to start doing, manageable damage to the Amoonguss?
Well, I don't think the Ogerpon is here for the Amoonguss at this point in time. I think the Amoonguss and the Golden Go are really the 2 Pokemon that are going to be facing down against each other.
Protect from the Roaring Moon here. Going to keep it safe from the Make It Rain. This is a spread attack, no Choice Specs boost, right? This is a Citrus Berry, but you do have the Nasty Plot, means it is not enough for a 1-hit KO, but that is a lot into the Amoonguss. It will activate its Citrus Berry, recovering 25% HP, so going back to just roughly a little under half HP. And the Sludge Bomb into Ogerpon is super effective and does land the poison here. Now Ogerpon is on a timer over the next few turns, going to be ticking down from the poison.
It's on a little bit of a timer, as it does have Horn Leech, which, if it can connect with a Pokemon that it doesn't resist a grass type attack, which is kind of impossible at this point in time, it might be able to buy an extra turn for it. So it's going to put a little bit more pressure on the board, but overall, I do think that the Nasty Plot on the Golden Go was the key turn for Jack to get back into this game.
And Amoonguss will swap out into the Golden Go on the other end, 1 to resist and Make It Rain, but also to give more Regenerator health recovery to the Amoonguss thanks to its ability. Goes for the Protect, but will fail, and now a Ivy Cudgel into Roaring Moon brings it down very low, and certainly low enough for Make It Rain to finish off the Roaring Moon.
Going for the Protect there, probably hoping that 1 more tick of poison damage onto that Ogerpon would put it into range from a knockout from Breaking Swipe, or possibly even a knockoff at that point. So overall, a very safe play from Cary there, just trying to position the Golden Go so...
Light Screen wearing off on this turn. At this current moment, Amoonguss will swap back onto the field. There are 2 Golden Go's, and one of them's holding a Choice Specs, and there's no Light Screen remaining.
That is very true. That is very true, Joe, and it's going to be knocking out the Ogerpon regardless. I think more critical is what move is it going to be locking into, because if it locks into Make It Rain, I don't think it's going to have enough firepower to outpace the Nasty Plot on Jack's own Golden Go. But then if you look at the other attacks it has, Shadow Ball or Trick is probably very tempting here, as you could potentially trap it into a move on Jack's side of the field. If you could trap it into Nasty Plot, possibly, that would be incredible. And it's honestly possible, depending on how this Golden Go is trained and what typing it remains into, Shadow Ball can pick up a 1-hit knockout.
And this is one of the few Ogerpon Wellsprings in the tournament that don't have redirection, right? It's Sword Stance as the 4th attack instead of Follow Me. So now Jack decides, to terrestrialize Terra Dragon on this Golden Go. It's already gotten one nasty plot boost and doing so much damage here in this game. Cary will redirect any single target attacks towards the Amoonguss, but because it's a grass type, it won't be redirected, and the critical hit on Ivy Cudgel takes down Golden Go.
It is now just Jack's own Golden Go left to target down the opposing Amoonguss with that single target Make It Rain.
And with only Sludge Bomb as an attack, it's not going to be doing too much damage into this Golden Go that will certainly be able to take it down there. Reflect wearing off. We don't see VGC matches going 7, 8, 9 turns too often, but Jack seems to consistently make it happen.
But Cary was able to bring him down to this point, and I think that's something that Jack has to be very careful about going into game number 2. Cary will forfeit this game number 1 to give Jack the win, but overall, Cary was able to stay in the game for a very long time. It really was those couple of calls that Jack made that gave him the advantage in the end.
Jack Clarke coming from across the pond and is one game away from making the finals of the Toronto Regional Championship. I think Grimmsnarl continues to be an absolute menace in this top cut. It's getting knockout after knockout, and we even had that crucial paralysis when presumably Cary went for a tailwind.
And even if he didn't go for a tailwind, that little bit of extra damage onto the Ogre Pawn that turn could have been the difference from it getting KO'd, so it could not crit the Golden Go in that endgame.
Seeing in the replays here, clicking Swords Dance and Nasty Plot, it's something that we talked about in his prior stream, Matt, that having access to boosting your damage output while you are also simultaneously mitigating your opponent's damage with Light Screen and Reflect, it's a real devious combination.
It is, but Cary now has some information about what kind of difference those screens make overall. And going into this game number 2, I would be very careful if I were Jack, because the surprise is gone. You know just how much damage to expect from your Choice Specs Golden Go. You know how much damage you expect from the Landorus. You know the difference between Earth Power and Sanseer Storm, like you called out in one of those turns. That's going to be very important as we start this game too.
Let's see if Cary can force a game 3 or if Jack will be in the finals after this match. Roaring Moon Grimmsnarl for Jack, and a Roaring Moon of Cary's own next to the Golden Go.
But critically here, the Golden Go, after a Tailwind boost, should be able to outspeed that Grimmsnarl if it decides to go for an attack. So Grimmsnarl will have the opportunity to utilize that Prankster ability to set up some defenses for itself, but as a result of that, when it decides to go for an attack, eventually the Golden Go will be able to connect a Make It Rain first. So Jack has to be very careful about how he approaches the speed control in this matchup to sort of match the tailwind that Cary is probably very tempted to go for right off the bat.
Right, and Jack's Roaring Moon more offensively minded with an attack boost compared to Cary, more utility with a speed boost there. They both do have access to tailwind, but because of dynamic speed, if Roaring Moon on Cary's end goes first, that will boost Golden Go speed as well.
And one other thing to keep an eye out for here is the fact that Golden Go on Cary's side of the field has Dazzling Gleam. That's going to do so much damage to the opposing Roaring Moon. Jack has to respect it.
You have to get out of that Dragon typing if you're threatened by either 1, the Breaking Swipes, or 2, the Dazzling Gleams from Cary's Golden Go. And Cary will match the Terrestrialization as well. So we have a Terra Flying on Roaring Moon and Terra Fairy Golden Go. Choice Specs and Dazzling Gleam being boosted from the Fairy typing as well should do a lot of damage. Some of that will be mitigated thanks to the Light Screen for the next 8 turns on Jack's end. And there is the Tailwind from Cary. So because of the speed, now his team is going to be faster for the next 4 turns, including right here and now. Choice Specs Dazzling Gleam into super effective on Grimmsnarl. Just pretty much half, but because of the Terrestrialization, eats that like a champ and responds by knocking off the Choice Specs.
But look at how critical those Terrestrializations were. The Roaring Moon on Jack's side and the Golden Go on Cary's side were able to stick around as a result. Now, Grimmsnarl is in a position for Jack where I think it has to go for the Reflect this turn. There is no opportunity to connect a Thunder Wave with the opposing Roaring Moon, and if you do try and go for a Spirit Break, I think the amount of damage you're going to be taking from that Dazzling Gleam and a possible double up from the opposing Roaring Moon, that's just too risky. You're probably going to get knocked out at that point in time. And just, again, how valuable the Reflect was in the long game, time and time again. You cannot take that risk. Whereas now, Cary can just keep going on the offense. There's nothing stopping you from going for just another attack.
We know Grimmsnarl was definitely going to go for the Reflect that turn because you want to set it up. You want to mitigate physical and special damage. Breaking Swipe doesn't affect Grimmsnarl. It does hit the Roaring Moon, but really for not a lot of damage thanks to the Reflect being set up. Make Rain is a spread attack into both, getting the knockout into Grimmsnarl. We're not going to see a 5th KO, unfortunately, in this game for the Grimmsnarl, but instead, now Jack can bring something else in as Roaring Moon goes for Tailwind. The next 3 turns, it's going to have his speed doubled on his side, either the Golden Go or Ogerpon Wellspring.
And the speeds are now at least matched for a couple of turns, and Jack will have the opportunity to have one critical turn where his Pokemon are guaranteed to be faster, but you have to time that turn really well. Ogerpon taking the field here is great if it's able to get that Sword Stance up, but it's going to be taking a lot of damage potentially in response. The Roaring Moon on Cary's side of the field can also just start removing those attack boosts with Breaking Swipe like we saw in game number 1. And honestly, the Golden Go on his side of the field as well is probably free to keep attacking and to take out that Roaring Moon at this point. Yes, it has taken the attack drop from Make It Rain, but given how low health that Roaring Moon is, I wouldn't be surprised if it's able to pick up the KO.
Roaring Moon on Cary's end is going to get the Breaking Swipe, bringing it down into the red, but not enough for a knockout into Roaring Moon. Going to be able to stick around and go for a Terrifying Acrobatics in the other end, but because of the Breaking Swipe, it does not do enough. Ogerpon doesn't care about Breaking Swipe when you can click Swords Dance and boost your attack by 2 stages. Now Cary will be able to Shadow Ball into the Ogerpon, but that is really not too much. It does get a special defense drop, though.
It does, and that will be important for Cary later on in the match. But for now, though, you're still in a position where you really want to just keep putting the damage pressure down on Jack so that when your Tailwind expires, you are in a spot where that one turn when the Ogerpon will be faster than your Pokemon isn't as detrimental as it could be.
See, the Roaring Moon is -2 attack on Jack's end. Currently, Ogerpon Wellspring is +1 from 1 Breaking Swipe, and then combined with the +2 on Swords Dance. So you're really going to be relying a lot on Ogerpon right now to do most of your damage.
Exactly, and I think what Jack is struggling with right now is trying to figure out if it's better to let the Roaring Moon go down and get the Pokemon in the back of his party in without taking damage, or if it's better to just wait and see what happens. For sure, take the Protects while you have them, but a switch would be a really tough call to make.
This is the last turn of Tailwind on Cary's end, so he will go for a Protect and a Spiky Shield. The Breaking Swipe not going to do any damage, as well as you see the Shadow Ball targeting down the Ogerpon spot yet again. But now, since Roaring Moon's still on the field, nothing really stopping Cary from trying to reset up the Tailwind.
And we saw the knockoff going into the Roaring Moon as well. Cary just covering, again, that potential switch into the Roaring Moon spot, knowing that if a Pokemon were to come into that spot, removing that item would be super important. So Jack is still on the back foot right now, and I would love to see him just try and double into the opposing Roaring Moon and hope that you can catch it without a Protect. Maybe your opponent gets a little bit greedy, but the Protect is such a safe play here. I really respect that Cary went for it.
Acrobatics into that Protect on Cary's end, wants to keep the Roaring Moon as healthy as he can. So now Horn Leech from Ogerpon. Oh, it was a double target into the Protect. No damage from Jack's Pokemon on this turn. And now Cary can go for the Shadow Ball into the low health Roaring Moon for the knockout.
Exactly. Like, you have to hope that your opponent just makes a little bit of a trip up there and decides to try and just go on the offense anyways. Maybe anticipating that you're anticipating the Protect. You go for a Sword Stance on the Ogerpon or something similar, and then you're able to, you know, go for big damage. And unfortunately, though, Cary just making the very safe play here is now free to reset up Tailwind. I think Golden Go probably needs to consider switching out at some point, given how many special attack drops it has, but overall, knowing that it does have that Shadow Ball and is going to be in a very good position relative to Jack's own Golden Go right now. Depending on what Pokemon Cary has in the back, I don't think you necessarily have to risk that switch right now. You can wait to see how Jack's approaching this end game before you make that call.
And that's the thing, I mean, the information advantage is so massive on Cary's end right now because he hasn't even revealed his 2 Pokemon in the back compared to Jack being down to his final 2 Pokemon.
Exactly, and the fact that Cary was able to identify this lead and just how oppressive it is has completely turned this set on its head.
Golden Go will protect on this turn for Jack, but of course Cary clicking Tailwind. Now that Jack cannot match the speeds, that means Cary's Pokemon will be faster. Here's another Shadow Ball into the -1 special defense on the Ogerpon, and it will go for the Horn Leech. That does pretty solid damage because of a critical hit, Roaring Moon down into the red, and very important healing to the point where I definitely not, barring a critical hit, a Shadow Ball into Ogerpon would not be enough.
And that's going to be important too, as Terrestrialization is still on the board for Jack. And if you want to assume that there's more special attackers in the back of Cary's party, you know, getting that health back and then being able to boost your special defense one stage to offset that drop could be an important endgame position, but you do have to find your way there. I think the thing that Jack's struggling with right now is the fact that the Roaring Moon on Cary's side of the field has knockoff and is guaranteed to be faster. And this, if it wasn't for this double protect on Golden Go, it was probably going to go down this turn.
Oh, the frustration on Cary's end, seeing that double protect working 30% of the time. That takes the knockoff, not doing any damage here. Now Golden Go with the Shadow Ball into the protect as well. Cary gets no damage. Now Ogerpon can heal up even more, bringing Golden Go down to a sliver of HP. That one Swords Dance so many turns ago has been so massive for Jack.
And Jack targeting based off of who would give him more health rather than which KO was more important. And I love that because this, again, is more ways to stall through Tailwind. I don't think you can count on the triple protect. I feel like that is a little bit risky, even for my taste personally, but you never know. It worked twice, and you are still in the same position you are the previous turn, where a double up into this Golden Go should be enough to pick up the knockout, but we'll have to see how the damage rolls.
Knockoff into Golden Go does over 50% and gets rid of the Citrus Berry. No recovery for Jack's Golden Go here. But he doesn't double into the Golden Go, instead spreading his 2 attacks around, and the Horn Leech finally knocks out this Roaring Moon, as there will be one more turn of Tailwind remaining. But now Cary can switch one of his 2 Pokemon from the back in the next turn. Here is a Make It Rain to finally get rid of Cary's Golden Go.
You said one of the 2. We're gonna get down to 2v2 here as Cary's forced to reveal his final 2 Pokemon.
Ogerpon has just been so crucial in this matchup now. Again, even if he loses this, even if Jack loses this game 2, he's gained so much information by getting those 2 knockouts, forcing Cary to reveal the last 2. It is Landorus Incarnate in the back and Urshifu, as the light screen did expire too, which is pretty huge, because remember, Ogerpon still has that special defense drop.
It still has that special defense drop, and while it is not terrestrialized, the Urshifu cannot use water-type attacks against it, but I think unfortunately here, the downside to this position is that without redirection, the Urshifu can still go for the Surging Strikes into the Golden Go. That being said though, Golden Go is safe to protect this turn if it wants to, and if the Golden Go protects and the Urshifu attacks into it, you know, yes, it'll break through, but it will leave the Urshifu susceptible to another Horn Leech to heal the Ogerpon back up to full.
Right, which would be super effective, and that +1 attack going to be doing a lot of damage. We'll see how the speeds break out if Jack can get through the Tailwind, but for now, Cary is faster, so that means Jack is going to go for a protect onto each of his Pokemon here. The only one that can break through, obviously, is Urshifu's Unseen Fist, but the Sanseer Storm is a spread attack, so we know that that is what Cary is prioritizing, spread damage onto these 2 Pokemon. And then it's close combat into Ogerpon, and it brings it down to 19 HP.
Right, big question now here is, now that Tailwind is gone, how much training in speed is there on that Landorus? Because depending on how these Pokemon are trained, there is a world where this Ogerpon is naturally faster than that Landorus, and it can just take it down with an Ivy Cudgel.
Right, and with this Ogerpon having Sword Stance compared to Follow Me, you could presume that Jack has a little more speed invested than the normal Wellspring.
Exactly, and the Golden Ghost still is a piece in play here as well. And
45 seconds left on your time as well.
Oh my goodness.
Jack said there's not going to be many turns left in this game. This might be the final turn.
Here we go.
Ogerpon's faster! Horn Leech into the drop defenses, and that is going to be so much health recovery for this Ogerpon Wellspring. Now it is just Landorus Incarnate remaining. It went for a Sincere Storm on the prior turn. Is it going to go for that? No, it's Sludge Bomb instead, getting rid of Ogerpon. Finally, Jack down to just his Golden Go. A 1v1, one knockout away from the finals. Single target Make It Rain does 50%, but the diminishing returns means that even if he did get a chance to attack next turn, it wouldn't get the knockout.
Landorus now free to go for an Earth Power to connect with this Golden Go for the knockout. I think we're getting a game number 3.
Oh, this is so stressful. Even though Cary is getting this knockout, you see on his face just how nervous he is. He knows he's forced to game 3, and now one of these two incredible trainers is gonna have to win the most stressful match of their career.
What a tough call to make at that end game as well, right? Because you know that the Ogerpon, if it is faster, which we did get confirmation of, it was more than capable of picking up the knockout on the Urshifu or the Landorus. And I love how Cary just went on the offense with both of those Pokemon. It's possible we saw a close combat and a Sludge Bomb into that Pokemon just to ensure it's knocked out, as if you do get it down to the 1v1 versus the Golden Go, I think the Urshifu and the Landorus are more than capable of outpacing damage.
What, you know, and just seeing how important one Sword Stance is. A move that can really flip the script in this matchup, even with Breaking Swipe, even with getting hit through your Spiky Shield because of Unseen Fist. As long as the Horn Leech can do so much, that's something that Cary, even though he won the game, it got really dicey. So I would love to see what Cary's adjustment is into this Wellspring.
Well, if you think about it though, Cary's adjustment in game number 2 for the lead was perfect. You know, he put so much board pressure down with the Terra Fairy Golden Go that Jack was forced to terrestrialize his Roaring Moon into a flying type Pokemon, and honestly never really got payoff from it. You know, it was able to stick around for a couple of turns, but it just didn't really feel like that was what he was hoping for. It kept the Ogerpon from terrestrializing as well. It kept the Golden Go from terrestrializing into a Dragon Pokemon in that end game, and overall, I think just forced a board state that Jack really was not happy with.
Let's see what happens here. Game 3 between Jack Clarke and Cary D. Ortona. One of these two will be in the finals of the Toronto Regional Championships. Cary leading with his Roaring Moon and Golden Go, and a Roaring Moon on Jack's end as well with the Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl literally only made it through 2 turns last game. Yeah, it was just for Light Screen, just for Reflect, and then it gets knocked out, gets out of the way to let Ogerpon Wellspring deal with the rest.
Yeah, but now we're running back what we saw in game number 2, and it just didn't quite work out for Jack. He needs to find another way through this lead that doesn't involve using his terrestrialization. You could certainly try and switch in a Pokemon that can take a Fairy type attack a little bit better. You can use or protect the Scout here, but you're still gonna have to worry about the next turn.
And you also currently can't Thunder Wave either of Cary's Pokemon, right? Because the Dark type immune to Prankster, and then Golden Go's ability cannot be status. Protect from Jack's Roaring Moon, and now Cary will Tailwind on his end, doubling the team's speed.
Oh no!
This is super effective with the Make It Rain Choice Specs boosted as well.
Oh!
Almost enough for a one-hit KO, but not enough. That means with Grimmsnarl's Prankster, he can set up his other screen next turn before it gets knocked out.
So once again, we're in a position where this Grimmsnarl is going to be able to get 2 attacks and then be knocked out. But Golden Go is not locked into a Fairy type attack, which means Roaring Moon is no longer pressured to terrestrialize. And this will open up the opportunity for Jack's Roaring Moon to at least do something. It can try and match the Tailwinds if that's something that Jack wants to prioritize, knowing the Pokemon in the back of his party really need that speed, I guess, match into the advantage. Or he could go straight for a knockoff into the Golden Go to try to remove it.
Right, to get rid of, do massive damage damage and get rid of the choice specs, which is really doing a lot. But the breaking swipe here is not going to be hit by Grimmsnarl. It's a fairy type, and it does some solid damage into Roaring Moon and also crucially lowering its attack. Here is the Make It Rain follow-up, taking out Grimmsnarl and bringing down Roaring Moon to under 50%, but crucially, it does hang on through this turn to respond with an attack of his own, and Jack has not used the Terrestrialization yet, just like you were talking about. But it's just an acrobatics into the Roaring Moon, just wanted some chip damage.
I think also just afraid of the Golden Go switching out, or possibly Terrestrializing, because once you remove the choice specs, Golden Go can switch its attack. And then once it can switch its attack, it can go for the Dazzling Gleam and deal big damage. As long as it's locked into Make It Rain, that's dropping its special attack, Ogerpon can go for a Swords Dance relatively unthreatened.
And now in this game, difference, no Shadow Ball special defense drop, and Terrestrialization is still available. So it feels like Jack is very well primed at some point to Terrestrialize Wellspring in this game, get a special defense boost, and get rid of your Sludge Bomb weakness to Landers as well.
Exactly.
So let's see what happens here. Breaking swipe on the switch in, but not going to matter onto the Golden Go as it's a special attacker. And Ogerpon has its own way of boosting its attack with a Swords Dance eventually. And the Make It Rain is just such little damage, even with a choice spec, when you click it 3 turns in a row. And there is Jack clicking the Swords Dance to bring his attack back up to +1.
And great positioning there as well, because the Ogerpon on the field meant that Cary had to respect the Swords Dance and could not risk going for a knockoff into the Roaring Moon like we saw him do in previous games, allowing the Golden Go to take the field perfectly safe. Now, you do have to worry about this position because you will be taking super effective damage from a knockoff, and if you don't Terrestrialize or Protect, that's probably going to result in a KO from that Roaring Moon, but you're at least on the field and you have the choice to make make that play optimal.
Cary finally swaps the Golden Go out as his -3 special attack. You want to reset that, have your choice specs Pokemon do way more damage, and he will protect his Roaring Moon on this turn from an attack. Urshifu, Rapid Strike getting onto the field. That could have been scary if the Horn Leech went into the Urshifu, but fortunately for Cary, it went towards the Protect. Now Make It Rain into a resisted water Pokemon on the other end means that Urshifu's going to take that really well.
But it could honestly be in knockout range from a Horn Leech now, as we saw just how much damage it did in game number 1. And with Tailwind expiring, Cary has to make a very tough call here. Do you set up Tailwind again, or do you try and knock out the Golden Go?
And could Cary be baiting a potential Horn Leech into that slot right by Golden Go re-switching back in? Here's a nice juicy water type here for you, Ogerpon, and actually it's going to be resisted on switch.
Exactly. So Cary really has a nice mind game set up here for Jack to try and call. Let's see what happens.
Urshifu will Terrestrialize into the fire typing, now resisting a Horn Leech into this position here. Terra Fire Urshifu on that end. Tailwind from Roaring Moon setting it up yet again. Count how many Tailwinds we've seen from Roaring Moons in this set as a whole. And the Surging Strikes into Golden Go. It's going to be 3 straight critical hits, but looking like how the first 2 did, and especially obviously after its Citrus Berry recovery, will not be enough for a knockout. You're not too worried about Golden Go's damage, especially if it goes for a Make It Rain as a fire type here, but you did get it low enough. And the Horn Leech was the call, so Cary knew Terra Fire, don't give him that much recovery.
Yeah, and now the recovery is nice on this on this Ogerpon. The Nasty Plot is nice on this Golden Go. I just don't necessarily see a world where you can use it, because exactly, you're so slow, and the Urshifu will break through any attempt to protect. And you could try and just switch out the Golden Go, but then you're going to lose the special attack boost first of all, and second of all, you're going to have to come back on the field and try and find positioning again later, which is just a very tough spot to be in.
Such a difficult position when 2 players here in top 4. This is one of the most stressful environments they've ever seen. The furthest either of these 2 have made it in the Masters Division. They know one turn could be the difference between celebration and disaster. Breaking Swipe hitting both of the Pokemon, but hardly for any damage. Ogerpon Wellspring going back down to neutral attack. There is the Surging Strike, which obviously will be enough to follow it up. So the question on Jack's end is, what can Ogerpon Wellspring do at this point? It really has not felt too pressured from any of Cary's Pokemon so far in this matchup. It's been just sticking on the field the whole time. But it's Ivy Cudgel into the Fire type Urshifu for the KO.
All right, that's one more Pokemon down for each of these trainers. And while Jack is down to his final 2 Pokemon, Cary still does have the ability to switch Pokemon around, which is absolutely key, knowing that one of his final Pokemon is that Golden Go, which is still holding the choice specs and is still at full health. Cary can take an opportunity to lock into a move, see if it works out, and if it doesn't, you are more than free to switch that Pokemon out and have it come back in later in a more optimal position. That being said, though, now that the Urshifu is gone, Ogerpon is more than free to Terrasilize to get that special defense boost, which might honestly be Jack's best opportunity to get back into this game.
Waiting for the right time for Ogerpon Wellspring to Terrasilize, becoming a pure water type, and with that Embody aspect ability, boosting its special defense by 1 stage, effectively countering out the choice specs on Cary's Golden Go there. Roaring Moon for Jack will protect, want to stay healthy, want to be able to try to match the Tailwinds once it expires on Cary's end. Breaking Swipe is going to hit into the Ogerpon. That's the 3rd time it'll have its attack drop, so it's currently -1 because of that Swords Dance from earlier. So at some point, Jack is going to have to boost its damage back up. And the Shadow Ball does get another special defense drop, 2 games in a row. Swords Dance to counteract the Breaking Swipes. I really thought it made a lot of sense for the Ogerpon to go for Swords Dance. Again, you're +1, but the special defense is really negating the Terrasalization.
It's negating the Terrasalization. This is the final turn of Light Screen, and Tailwind is still active on the opposing side of the field. Ogerpon is going to have to take an attack or 2 before it's able to return an attack on its own. Cary has found this perfect combination of the Golden Go and the Roaring Moon to break through Jack's incredible defenses.
It's almost as if Cary is the one playing the slower matchup because of the Light Screen and Reflect wanting to wait for it. Breaking Swipe brings both of Jack's Pokemon into the red. Anything into those slots will be more than enough for the knockout, and Cary decides Shadow Ball into Roaring Moon. Now you can never set up the Tailwind to match my speed. Cary also has 1 Pokemon still in the bag, so it's 3-1. Ogerpon versus the world, but no Hornleech recovery, just an Ivy Cudgel into the Roaring Moon. No critical hit means no knockout, and Cary's 1 turn away from the finals.
That Ogerpon really needed to recover some health there, but unfortunately, it's time for Tailwind to be set up once again.
Tailwind boosting the speed and carrying Cary D'Artona into the finals of the Toronto Regional Championship.
Cary just giving an absolute masterclass on how to respond to what your opponent brings to the table. Golden Go and Roaring Moon. You know, Roaring Moon, one of the most underestimated Pokemon coming into the tournament this weekend, just absolutely shining in that matchup, being able to stay on the field. Those Breaking Swipes were absolutely critical in that matchup, and really just showcasing why it is a Pokemon you cannot count out in Regulation F.